everybody. We're here in New York. I think I'm live in my live. Send me a couple of messages. I'm sorry we had a little delay, but unfortunately the connection in these buildings are crazy. Are we on? Yes? We're on? Okay, cool. Yes, we're seeing some hearts. Hi everybody, thank you. I'm sorry I made you guys wait, but we are in the jungle of buildings over here and we couldn't get connection. So Dr. Jafari, it's such an incredible honor to be with the doctor, with a man, with one of the most amazing faces of diplomacy in this time of conflict. So please say hello to the people that are getting connected. They are following from all over the world, Syria. You're going to start seeing where they say hi.
Thank you so much. I'm really thrilled to be with you today. I see that you are not only a famous actress, but you are an extraordinary journalist too.
I wish I'll be a journalist.
So you are more than a journalist, actually. You are a real anchor. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be with you and to be with all our friends all over the world.
So yesterday at 4 o'clock in the morning, I posted on my Twitter because I didn't have time to put it on Facebook and all this, and I received 225 messages of people saying, please tell him I love him. This was like in 15 minutes because I fell asleep and I couldn't read how many more I received. And they are telling you from Sweden, they are saying hello from all the different countries, and they're telling you that they love you.
I love them too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm very proud of our own people as well as of our own friends all over the world. People know that Syria is very important for the stability of the region, for the stability of the world, because we are at the crossroad of the not only the old world but the whole planet. Syria is a role model, if I may dare say so, for all the people who are trying to maintain their independence, maintain their dignity, and maintain their political integrity. We live in a very difficult world of troubles, challenges, difficulties, where it is extremely difficult to maintain your independence, to maintain your integrity and your dignity. And this is why the war against Syria is so tough, because we did not give up on our sovereignty, on our political independence, as well as on our dignity. So with these words, let us start our interactive dialogue.
Yes, I love the word dignity, because I truly understood and learned more about dignity in Syria. I know that Sarah Beth, that wanted to come today, is also online, and she's saying hello, and she said that she admires you and loves you as well. So we're going to continue having the conversation with you guys. If you want to do a couple of questions when we open, so we can read and we can take advantage of this space that the ambassador is giving us. So you guys know I'm not a journalist. I am just crazy about Syria and crazy about human rights and to try and do the right thing. So I was trying to think, I'm not gonna prepare this interview either. This man is so amazing. I could interview him as a scholar, I could interview him as a diplomat, I could interview him as so many things, but the most important thing is that there is one man representing 24 million Syrians against the whole planet and the most powerful nations. So I decided I want to make this interview and talk to the men, the Syrian men taking this role. You as a Syrian man, just a regular Syrian man, how do you feel the weight of this war in your shoulders?
Thank you very much for your kind words addressed to my humble person. What I'm doing here with my distinguished colleagues is actually a duty. It's a call of duty, as we say in the military language. We are somehow like the military. We are defending our country, our homeland, our people here in New York, and I call it the forefront of the war. Diplomatic war, of course, because we are diplomats. We don't wage war here. We try to extinguish the fire everywhere it is. But, you know, nowadays wars are everywhere. And unfortunately, as a diplomat, I could witness that since 1945, instead of decreasing the number of wars all over the world, the war's number have increased twice. Twice. Although we created the United Nations to stop the war. And it is written in the introduction of the Charter of the United Nations. That means the humanity failed to implement, to observe the accurate implementation of the Charter. It is an unfortunate situation, but this is how it is. This is why we need to revisit the Charter again, to reinvigorate the noble and lofty ideas incorporated into the Charter, because we have an excellent Charter, but we don't implement it. This is a problem. There is a big difference between theory and practical situation. So within this framework of complex situation, I could tell you that I'm really honored to be here in New York, representing the interest of my country, the interest of my people, and to be able to do so, because it's not easy to do it. You are absolutely right when you say that we are working under huge pressure while implementing the interest of and defending the interest of our country in New York. The United Nations is it's something that goes beyond imagination. It's not only about Security Council. It's not only about the General Assembly. It's not only about almost 300 items we discuss every year in the 6 main committees. These are technical details that I don't want to go through anymore. But the overall panoramic picture of the United Nations makes it irreplaceable. This is something huge. It's a huge institution of what we call multilateral relationship between the nations. You know that we are 193 nations, member states. Theoretically speaking, we are saying that we are equal to each other, but realistically speaking, we are not equal to each other.
Some are too little countries.
Some are too little, some are too weak, some are too dependent, some are not independent, really speaking. Some are, following others' agendas, blindly speaking. But at least we are 193 nations trying to build up what we call a new world order. Trying. We have tried many times. We failed, to be honest with everybody.
But we have to keep trying.
But we have to keep trying because we don't have an alternative to the United Nations. This is the main challenge we are facing.
One thing that is very important, because many of you probably do not know that one of the interviews I saw is that actually you have much more support of many nations after you make a presentation and they tell you, but what is that they tell you behind scenes is that why can they support publicly to Syria to pursue peace?
Well, thank you so much for this question. It's an important one. Indeed, we have too many friends at the United Nations. I will give you some personal testimonies on this issue. But to be honest with you, many ambassadors, many diplomats, many countries, let's say, here present at the United Nations, are easily impressed by pressure. They don't resist the pressure. They give up easily, or their own countries cannot afford to resist such pressure. Many ambassadors come to me after voting against my country at some sessions, while adopting some draft resolutions. They vote against Syria, but then they come to me to apologize. Ambassador, we are sorry. We are with you. We understand you. We know that you are right, but we did it because we got instructions from the capitals to do so.
Of their countries.
So they know the truth. They know that Syria has been a victim of a huge international manipulation of international law as well as of facts. They know that, and they acknowledge while speaking to me personally.
What do you feel?
That they are wrong and we are right.
This is really important. That's why I was saying I want to talk to the men. What do you feel as just a man, not as an ambassador, when an actual ambassador comes back to you and tells you, I just voted against you, which might cause more war and death in your countries, which might cause more intervention, more support for terrorism and armed groups. But I'm sorry, we know you're right. What do you feel as a man when this happens?
Number one, I feel proud of myself as well as of my government's policy. Then I feel sorry, of course, myself. Third, I thank him because he is honest. He is honest and sincere while expressing his own personal feelings towards me and my country. To be honest with you, it's a little bit frustrating, of course, but definitely we don't give up. We are very stubborn people and diplomats here. We don't give up at all. Let me give you one example. When the so-called crisis, I don't call it crisis actually, I call it an international war of terror waged against my country. When this war started, you may remember that the French, the Qataris, the Saudis, they organized a forum called the Friends of Syria, or the Friends of the Syrian people,
yes.
Whatever. They invented this terminology to convince the public opinion that they are working for the Syrian people. The first meeting was held in Marrakesh, in Morocco, 12 of December 2012. The number of the countries who attended this meeting was 137. When they started this exercise, they were able to gather 137 governments hostile to the Syrian government. Wow. Nowadays, how many of those people remained able to gather together and call themselves the Friends of the Syrian people?
Yes.
11.
Wow.
You see, the figure dropped from 137 to 11 because we did not give up.
Exactly. To the people that are watching us, this is very important because I keep on, walking the streets of Syria. A lot of you are very excited. A lot of you are very courageous. A lot of you have a lot of hope, but a lot of you also have been losing a lot of hope and tell me, we're tired. We are going to keep on striving, but we're tired. This is really important to actually get real facts where also diplomatically you are winning this war. This is really important. Okay, so how is it that a country, small country, has, after 500,000 deaths in 6 years of war, almost seven, yes, with the most powerful nations against this little country, today is winning this war? Why is this happening? How is this miracle happening?
It is some kind of a miracle, actually. It's a sort of miracle. You are absolutely right. But the miracle doesn't come from a vacuum. It comes, in the case of Syria, from for many reasons. Number one, in Syria, we cannot be cheated easily because we are educated people. We have been through a hell since some time, long time, and we have been through difficult experiences that we learned from. This is the difference. Other people maybe went through similar experiences, but they didn't learn from it. from them. We learned. Let me give you one example. We said from the beginning that, guys, what you did to Iraq, we will not tolerate you to happen again in Syria. We said it publicly. No more Iraq. Then we said, no more Libya. We said it. We said, what you did to Iraq, we know what you did to Iraq. We know what you did to Libya. You want to do to us what you did there? We will not allow you to do so. So they tried to cheat on us, of course, by all means. It didn't fly. It didn't fly because we knew from the beginning that this is a war of terror imposed on us, not because they want, as they pretended at the beginning, to spread democracy, spread human rights, help the Syrian people against the dictatorship, all this blah, blah, blah. Of course, we are not infallible people. I mean, we are not complete. We do have problems like every other nation, but we can deal with these problems without committing suicide. Why committing suicide if we can deal with our problems without any foreign intervention? Would United States or France or Britain or Canada or Japan or Australia or anybody, would any of these nations allow another nation to support a so-called moderate armed opposition in these countries to overthrow the ruling governments? We shouldn't be naive. Why, in the case of Syria, a so-called armed opposition, moderate groups should be established? Why only in Syria? And since when opposition, democratically speaking, should be armed and moderate and terrorist?
This is a question that is really important for all the people. I was looking that you guys are following us for many, many countries, the ones that just also joined. This is the ambassador of Syria to the United Nations. And this is one of the things that we need to learn. All these, every time we have a little attack in our countries in the Western world, we call them, this is a terrorist act. But every time that there is a terrorist act in Syria, we call that is just a confrontation from moderate rebels. We need to understand, first of all, that moderate people will never be killing people. Let's just start from a logic point of view.
Thank you so much. This is why while addressing the Security Council or the General Assembly or talking to my distinguished fellow colleagues, I always tell them, guys, till now, when you watch CNN, when you watch France 24, when you watch the BBC, I mean these big channels, you hear them talking about ISIS by using the term jihadist. Till now, till this very moment, they call the terrorists of ISIS jihadist. They don't call them terrorists. Although, I mean, the Security Council described them as terrorists. All over the world, they know what they did in Mosul, in Aleppo, in Raqqa. I mean, it's a very well-known story now. Till now, the Western media call them jihadists. They don't call them terrorists. Let me give you another story. I'm a very good storyteller, by the way. There is at the Security Council a team called Monitoring Team of Sanctions. It is related to the implementation of the Security Council Resolution 1267, relevant to Al-Qaeda, as well as other resolutions, recent one on Syria. This team, we conveyed for years official invitations to them, to its members, to come to Syria, to investigate and to collect information on ISIS. The team of monitoring and imposing sanctions is directly linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS, by the way. And you know, ISIS is in Raqqa, in Syria, and in Iraq, mainly speaking in these two countries. So we insisted on the team to come to Syria for years. Please, guys, come and we will share with you a huge quantity of information related to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Yeah, yes, next year, the budget, the program, we didn't get the consensus, necessary quorum of, every time, procrastination, 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 arguments, excuses. Finally, they gave up. They accepted to come to Syria. We arranged for them everything, accommodation, traveling, I mean, everything was fine. Couple hours before they left, we get a phone call to my office saying that, sorry, Mr. Ambassador, we cannot fulfill the mission, the trip. Why you cannot do it? Mr. Ambassador, we are sorry. We are shortage of the budget has a shortage of $400. Could you believe that? Could you believe that the United Nations doesn't have $400 to fulfill a trip aimed at combating ISIL? They couldn't do it because they fell under huge pressure from some member states, influential member states, not to go. They don't want to go to Syria to see the truth, because if they see the truth, they will have to get back to the members of the council and brief the council about what they saw.
Exactly. Guys,
So
this
you
is
see,
so
this
important.
is one example of the kind of manipulation we are victim of at this organization.
This is really important what he's saying, because when people ask me why I keep on going back to Syria, why I decided to go in Syria, is because I keep on saying, like, only I know stories of Syria, of people that left Syria 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, but they're not leaving the war. They're not leaving what Syrians are living inside of Syria. And if we really want to know what's going on inside of Syria, we need to follow, talk, and question people that are inside of Syria. Syrians that go in and out of Syria, not Syrians that are talking to you about a Syria from 6 years ago. I'm not dismeriting one or the other, or saying that one is more important than the other. The fact that there is a war in Syria, and there is terrorism, and there is ISIS, and terrorism is not what we think it is, which is, I'm going to cut your head and then you're dead. I mean, people in Syria tell me, I wish they would come and cut my head. I wish they would come and just cut me and let me, that's it. I go, I'm martyred and that's it. The problem is that they terrorize them. They emotionally, mentally, they take their children, they rape their children, and the killing is perpetuating more hatred and fear among it. So we don't know this type of terrorism. Why wouldn't the United Nations come to Syria and see it? This is the problem we have. We need to see, we need to question our ambassadors. We as human beings and citizens have to pressure our ambassadors. You guys tell me about what can we do? We can write infinite letters to our ambassadors at the United Nations from Argentina, Uruguay, Canada, United States, saying like, we demand you to go to Syria and report from inside of Syria. Yesterday, I got in a little fight with the American embassy in Syria. There's no American embassy in Syria. What are you reporting? It's just your policy. And with all due respect, it's like, how dare you speak about Syria? So on this point, you that unbelievable and incredible can not be defeated. That diplomacy is something that must perpetuate no matter how much attack you have. What is actually your, you don't lose your cool. This is how we say here in the United States.
Indeed.
You're being attacked. Sometimes you're preparing a briefing, and you know that after this briefing, they're probably going to decide to bombard your nation, and this depends on it. How do you get ready? So this is a little bit more personal. How do you get ready for your briefing? Do you pray? What do you do?
Sometimes I feel surprised. I feel shocked at the kind of situation I find myself in. I will give you one example. When the former American President Obama was about to launch an aggression against my country, the first time, I got a call from a very famous American anchor I wouldn't mention her name. She called on me. I knew her before. She called on me and said, Mr. Ambassador, the channel is honored to offer to you a private jet to transport you from New York to the headquarters of this channel, so, and to be with us in the studio, to give your first reaction when the first American missiles will hit your country. I mean, could you believe that? You know, how would you react? How would you react? By getting angry? By insulting the person who is talking to you?
How many hours a day you meditate?
I mean, you see, this kind of behavior. So you need to be cool and to keep your cool reaction. Otherwise, you lose you lose control easily in this kind of war. I mean, I'm just telling you one story. It is a real story. I mean, it's true and real story that happened to me. Of course, I didn't lose my temper, and you know, thank you so much. Your request is not acceptable. This is etc. etc. Finished. But this, I mean, what they did to Syria, these influential powers, what they did to Syria is unprecedented. They didn't do it to Iraq. It is true they destroyed Iraq, but what they did to us did not do it to Iraq. What they did to Syria, what they did to Libya, did not do it to Syria. What they did to us is unprecedented. They have been manipulating all the decision-making mechanisms at the United Nations. You have mentioned a few minutes ago a very key word, which is reporting. You know what? All the so-called experts in this organization are either from the West or people working for the West. So you may not expect any report on Syria to be genuine. This is how they manipulate the facts, by misleading the members of the Security Council with wrong information about Syria. So reporting is very important. Number two, you are absolutely right when you call on everybody to send letters to their governments. Many governments hostile to Syria do not have embassies in Syria, so they don't have a genuine and credible source of information. They rely on the propaganda to judge and prejudge what's going on in Syria. We are not the first victim, but as I told you, what they are doing to us is unprecedented. But what they did to Iraq was very serious. They destroyed Iraq. Until now, Bush and Blair refused to apologize. Just apologize. To say that, guys, we are sorry. What we did to Iraq was wrong.
So that you know, it's 1.5 million people that died. And basically, I was reading yesterday, 48% of the country is destroyed in Iraq. More.
Let me give you another story on Iraq, which might shock everybody now. You know, I mean, this story is it's well known, but it doesn't transpire out of the system, as we say. You know, since 1993, actually, the Security Council established a committee called UNSCOM with a mission of investigating Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. You may remember this story. So the committee investigated every single inch in Iraq, every single man in Iraq, for 18 years. They couldn't find anything. They couldn't find, because it's a lie. After destroying Iraq, after occupying Iraq, after making 1.5 million victims, etc., 5 million orphans and widows, you know the story. In
5 million of orphans.
In 2008, they decided to put an end to the work of this committee, UNSCOM, because
they couldn't find anything.
They couldn't find anything. But they couldn't say in their final report that they didn't find anything. They couldn't say that. If they said we didn't find anything, that would have amount to say the war against Iraq was wrong. So how to escape this dilemma? They called the Security Council for a night meeting around midnight. Midnight. No guards, no journalists, no reporters, nobody. And I think, if I'm not wrong, it was December, around Christmas, around. I was here. In this meeting, almost confidential, almost secret meeting. We don't have secret meetings at the United Nations. So they gathered around midnight and endorsed a resolution saying that the mission of UNSCOM is finished. And listen to what they said. The archives of UNSCOM will be put into an iron safe under locked and under special locks with the special password that only the Secretary General could have access to it. Listen again. And the archives will not be reopened. The safe will not be reopened before 60 years.
Yeah, of course.
Why?
Yeah,
because they are ashamed of what they
the
did.
level, yeah, the level of destruction.
You see? So the UN is not a charity organization. This is what I'm trying to say. The UN is not a charity organization. The UN is a very complex organization reflecting on what's going on in this world with the huge contradictory interest of nations and governments. But there is no other alternative, as I said at the beginning. So what we are trying to do here is to get the maximum of benefit from the diplomatic efforts and initiatives available, because it's not always available. We try. We are not alone, and this is the other side of the story. We are not alone. We have too many friends. Many times our enemies in the Council try to impose resolutions allowing them to use force against us, the way they did it to Iraq. Although when they invaded Iraq, their invasion was illegal and illegitimate because they didn't get the authorization from the Council. So themselves also, they learned from their mistakes in Iraq. They tried to avoid these mistakes by getting a resolution from the Security Council allowing them to use force. They couldn't. 7 Russian and Chinese vetoes.
That's incredible.
Prevented them from doing so. So we are not alone. We have too many friends.
Doctor, sorry, I know you probably have to go. He's been giving us extremely so much time and we were delayed to start our live video. But there are these like really short questions that I love to make to every Syrian because I think this is what inspires me and it's the part that gets people internationally to get to know you. So they're just quick questions. If you can get me into this, I think that there are superpowers for Syrian people. So these are my quick questions. What are the superpowers of Syrians?
You are part of our superpower because we have incredible people like you believing in Syria, trusting the Syrian people. I need to tell you another story also, which is very important. It's about the so-called chemicals. It's a very important issue.
We're going to talk about the chemicals because I want to close this, but okay. I want them to just see a little bit. This is the thing. We see you, your preparation, the coolness of the men behind this incredible eyes that you have that are full of compassion, actually, and peace. It's something that I would like people to actually get to see and understand that it's not just a man that is well prepared, who's a doctor, who's very educated, but there is an actual human being fighting as a human being for the human beings in his country. So I make these little questions, and then I promise, because the chemical thing is the most important thing that I want to address for the people, and it's so that's why I was saying, for instance, what hurts you the most about this war?
Lies.
What makes you sad?
Manipulation.
What makes you happy?
Victory over terrorism in my country and in Iraq.
Why Syrian women are so strong?
Because they are Syrians and they believe in themselves. You know what? In Syria we have a vice president of the republic. We have ministers, women. We have ambassadors, women. You know what? 70% of the students at the dentistry college at all Syrian universities are female. A huge percentage of teachers in the elementary schools are women. While in countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, the Gulf states, women cannot even drive a bicycle. I don't want to go into details because the picture is very ridiculous, and I don't want to defame them more than what they are defamed. But just a comparison between us and others who claim they are helping the Syrian people, they are not actually. They are causing destruction in my country. The Syrian women are strong enough because they are the ones who take care of the young generation. The young generation. They are also waging war against terror, women, by following what you said at the beginning, by being patient. They didn't give up. They were patient from the beginning. Many of them sacrificed their own sons, their own children, for the sake of saving Syria. Rescuing Syria from the terrorists. We have no other choice but to defend our country. Otherwise, we will end up like Somalia, like Iraq, like Libya. The price would be huge, and that will not be tolerable. We will not allow that to happen to us.
How would you like to be remembered?
By fulfilling my duty correctly and appropriately. I'm just doing my duty. I'm very proud that many of my colleagues have endorsed the same kind of school of thoughts that we have established while working in New York. Syrian diplomacy has been an exemplary one, a role model actually. Although we don't have this, huge, wide horizon of capacities, but we did miracles because we believe in our country, and we have to. This is why we are here. This is why we are here, to defend our country's interest and to defend our own people, to prevent to prevent the enemies from causing
more
hurtful, destruction to us. I think we did great so far, but definitely our mission will be accomplished when we will be fully victorious over the terrorism in Syria and in the area.
So what is your greatest dream?
To see my country back to normalcy, to see our own people getting back to freedom, liberty, without any kind of terror, without any kind of external pressure, and away from any external intervention and interference into our domestic affairs. Syria is one of very few countries in the world acting on the basis of principles, even in politics, which do not know principles. In politics there are interests. For us, politics is about principles. This is why we have defended Cuba for decades against the embargo. For decades, we have been supporting Cuba. This is why we have been supporting the Palestinian question. This is why we have been supporting all kind of struggle of peoples against foreign colonial powers.
Yeah, it's like we need to leave people alone. I mean, we can just intervene and impose our way of government and our way of thinking. And this actually leads me to that so important question, which is, I was in Mount Kasum. I listened to hundreds of mosques doing the prayer and hundreds of bells of church at the same time. And Syrians, Christian and Muslim, are not just coexisting together, but they are defending the country. So this goes to the most important part of the chemical weapons. When here in the West we are hearing that the president of this nation, it is throwing chemical weapons to innocent people, when he is winning this war, when he basically exterminated most of, and this has nothing to do actually with the president, it's just with the government and with logics. We are seeing this. I've been inside of Syria. I've been investigating along with Eva Bartlett, with Vanessa Belli, and many others, the fact that the white helmets, it's a very sad story for us in the West, where we think they're amazing heroes that almost got the Nobel Prize for Peace, who got an Oscar, and they are the ones reporting and sending these videos to the Council, the United Nations, to define a ceasefire or define a bombardment like it happened in April. I would love for you to actually acknowledge this to the people internationally. I was in the headquarters of the White Helmets in Aleppo. They were working hand in hand, not just with al-Nusra and other terrorist groups, but they were actually people that were armed at night and during the day, using the white helmet to film saving people. I'm not saying there are not good people that might want to save civilians. So how can we fight all these chemical weapon, possible new attack that the Secretary of the United Nations actually announced, saying that they think that there will be a new chemical attack and they will blame it on the government of Syria?
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to elaborate a little bit on this very important question. When the first chemical attack took place in Syria, it happened against an innocent town in the countryside of Aleppo called Khan al-Asal. Chemical attack happened in this against civilians as well as military, Syrian military, who were there, based, stationed, and positioned in this town. Scores of innocent people, civilians as well as military, got killed. They suffocated because of the use of chemicals, unfortunately. Everybody was betting, the plan was to accuse the Syrian government of doing so that that would justify a foreign intervention. That was the initial plan. So they were betting on the fact that the Syrian government would react negatively, irresponsibly, to brackets. And then they would take this situation as an advantage to justify a foreign military intervention through the adoption of a resolution in the Security Council. It's a sequence of... So what happened is that hours after the attack took place, I got instructions from my government to go to the Secretary General and to ask him for assistance. 2, 1, determine whether chemicals were used or not. B, A, determine whether chemicals were used or not. B, to identify the perpetrators. I asked Ban Ki-moon in his capacity as Secretary General at that time to help us. Something that they did not expect to come from the Syrian government. So we took them by surprise by asking the United Nations to assist us in doing these 2 requests. The Secretary General, I was in his office. The Secretary General asked me to give him some hours to consult with the big hyenas in the Council. and then to give me the final answer. A few hours later, it was around midnight, he called me, I was at my residence, and said, Mr. Ambassador, tell your government that I'm pleased to assist in determining whether chemicals were used or not, but I will not be able to help you with identifying the perpetrators. So from the day one, when the first chemical attack took place, it was planned not to identify the perpetrators because they know who did it, but they want to blame the Syrian government for that to justify a foreign intervention, military intervention. So you see, from the day one, they didn't want to identify the perpetrators. This is why they repeated the same kind of attacks every time they were somehow disappointed or frustrated about invading Syria. And that explains why President Obama drew the red line at some, because they have tried everything with us. The only thing they haven't tried with us is bombing us with the nuclear bomb. They have tried all kinds of dirty wars with us, except bombing us with the nuclear bomb. So I'm just telling you these kind of stories so that the public opinion would know that the truth. I mean, this is the truth. It's about history. We are writing history. And we will see, once this war will be over, the full story will be known.
Mr. Ambassador, you have your whole team super stressed because you have like 10 meetings that you are probably already delayed.
Thank you so much.
I am extremely grateful for this time and for you acknowledging directly the people that are listening to us. What does Syria mean to you?
A lot.
What's the word Syria? What does the word Syria means to?
Civilization. Civilization.
Why do you love Syria?
Because if Syria fell down, the whole world will fall down. We are defending the whole world right now by keeping up our dignity and our political independence. If Syria loses the war against terror, nobody else could resist and vanquish and destroy the terror all over the world. We are defending the whole world against terror right now.
God bless you all of
with
you
all our
for
friends
this.
and our allies. Of course, we are not doing so alone. We have too many friends. Thanks God.
And the Syrian people from the home front, the students continuing their education and everything. I know we promised you guys that we're going to do questions, but he actually has to run. But I'm gonna give you a chance to please tell them Syria is victorious. They say amen. They know you, they appreciate it. They're sending peace. They're saying in French. I would like for you to tell them, send them your love, give them a message. Oh, that's Sarah. We are defeating the whole world against terror, Dr. Jafari, she says. Vanessa Velli is also there. God bless my Syria. They are all watching us.
Vanessa and Eva and Sarah, I love you. Thank you so much. You have been part of this Syrian peaceful army.
Marwa Osman is there,
and
Syrian
Marwa
analysis also.
So I'm grateful to everybody, actually. With these people, these honest people, we were able to deliver the message of Syria all over the world. We wouldn't have been able to do it by ourselves, alone. With these friends, we were able to deliver our message of peace and to abort these criminal plans aiming at destroying Syria. I'm grateful to you. We were planning to talk only for 20 minutes. We did almost an hour. So
and we didn't cover everything that we wanted.
I'm grateful to you. Thank you so much. I used to joke a little bit about Hollywood in the Security Council from time to time, but I will not do it anymore after meeting you. Thank you so much.
No, you're going to come with me to the red carpet when we open Voice of Syria. Guys, thank you so much. May God bless you all.
Thank you
I
so
love
much.
you, Syria.
Thank you.
Hayati, Hayati. And you are so beautiful. And here we are. Thank you so much. Keep on the work. And to everybody that is international, Chema actually has an organization of many politicians in Spain who are best friends of Syria. There's a huge army internationally that are fighting along with Syria. We are going to win the war of peace, because this war is for peace for Syria. We're going to continue. These are no political positions, as you see. This is a man that is dedicating his life. So thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. Please.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you so much.
not just
So
an
kind.
honor,
So kind. Thank
but
you so much.
may God bless you.
Greetings from President Assad also. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.